My boss fired me for leaving. Worked to pick up my niece, said I wasn't mother material anyway. My boss fired me, and then she smiled. A cold, calculated smile that sent shivers down my spine. Did she plan this? Was I just a pawn in some twisted game? Everything I thought I knew about my job, about the people I worked with, vanished in that instant. Was the sacrifice worth it? Hey, you won't believe what happened to me. 1 minute, I was a dedicated sales associate, climbing the corporate ladder. What made it worse? It wasn't just the firing, it was the reason behind it. Someone I thought I knew, someone I even considered a friend, was secretly plotting against me. And the reason why will shock you. Trust me, this is a story of betrayal, manipulation, and a desperate fight to reclaim my reputation. Stick around because you won't believe who was behind it all, and what I'm planning to do about it. Are you ready for this? The fluorescent lights of the office hummed, casting a sterile glow on everything. I clutched the termination letter, the paper crinkling in my trembling hands. Unprofessional conduct, it read. Failure to meet job expectations. A whole list of accusations I couldn't comprehend. The air conditioning was blasting, but sweat trickled down my back. I remember staring at the generic signature beneath my boss's typed name. It was more like a brand. Was this some kind of joke? Just yesterday, I was finalizing a major deal, praised for my dedication. And now? Now I was being escorted out like a common criminal. It all started with a phone call. My sister Sarah, frantic, her voice cracking with panic. There was a lockdown at my niece Lily's school, a situation unfolding too close to home on the other side of Tulsa. No one could reach her. Sarah was out of town, hours away. Lily was only 7. Please, Sarah begged. Can you get her? I can't get there in time. My boss, Carol, was in the middle of an important meeting, a crucial presentation to land a new client. I hesitated. But Lily was family. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding. Carol's face hardened as I explained the situation, the urgency in my voice pleading for understanding. I need to leave, I said. My niece. Absolutely not, she snapped. This meeting is critical. We are close to closing the largest deal of the quarter. But Carol, this is an emergency, I countered, my voice rising. It's my family, her eyes narrowed. Family, this company is your family. This job is your priority. We all have families. This is work, the source of everyone's home and health care. Her voice was ice. If you walk out that door, consider yourself unemployed. And frankly, she added with a cruel smirk, maybe you weren't cut out for this in the first place. Motherhood isn't for everyone. Her words stung. Motherhood wasn't for everyone. I'd always wanted a family. Carol's own 2 kids were in private schools, with tennis lessons and summer camps. How could she? I looked from Carol to the anxious faces around the conference table. I made my choice. I raced to Lily's school. The street was blocked off by police cars, flashing lights painting the scene in an ominous red and blue. Parents huddled together, their faces etched with fear. Relief washed over me as I held her tight. She was safe, but the relief was short-lived. Returning to the office, the termination letter was waiting. What would you have done? Could you forgive her? I couldn't. The rain was hammering against my apartment window as I reread the letter, each word a fresh stab wound. I felt betrayed, used. I had sacrificed my job for my family, and all I got in return was contempt. I decided to fight back. I wasn't going to let Carol get away with this. I requested my personnel file, expecting the usual bureaucratic roadblocks. To my surprise, it arrived quickly. As I sifted through the documents, something felt off. Dates seemed altered, performance reviews rewritten. My accomplishments were minimized, mistakes exaggerated. Then I found it. An email chain, buried deep within the digital file. It was between Carol and Mark, my neighbor's boyfriend, a junior manager in a different department. Mark had always been a little too friendly, a little too eager to help. I'd brushed it off as politeness, but now The truth slammed into me like a punch. The emails detailed a carefully orchestrated plan to undermine me. Mark had been feeding Carol information, twisting events, exaggerating minor errors. He had even fabricated complaints from clients. Why? What could he possibly gain? The answer was in another email. Carol had promised Mark a promotion, the very position I had been eyeing. He was using me as a stepping stone, sacrificing my career for his own ambition. I felt sick, betrayed not just by my boss, but by someone I had considered an acquaintance, someone who had shared meals at my table. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversations with Mark in my head, searching for clues I had missed. Had he been lying to me all along? Had he always been this calculating? I looked out the window at the city lights, each one representing a life, a story. My story had taken a dark turn, but I wasn't ready to give up. I needed to confront Mark. I needed to understand why. When he emerged, I stepped in front of him, blocking his path. "We need to talk," I said, my voice low and steady. He paled, his eyes darting around nervously. "I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered. I pulled out a printout of the email chain, holding it in front of his face. This is what I'm talking about." His composure crumbled. He grabbed my arm, trying to snatch the paper from me. "Give that back," he hissed. I pulled away, my adrenaline pumping. "Why, Mark? Why did you do this to me?" He sighed, defeated. "I needed the promotion. Carol promised it to me. She said It wasn't personal," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "It was just business. Just business." Those words echoed in my head, a hollow justification for his betrayal. "You ruined my life, Mark," I said. "How can you say it's not personal?" He didn't answer. He just looked down, shamefaced. "I'm not going to let you get away with this," I said, turning to leave. "What are you going to do?" he asked, his voice laced with fear. "I haven't decided yet," I said, "but you'll find out." Back in my apartment, I wrestled with what to do. I could expose Mark and Carol, reveal their scheme to the company. But that would be messy, potentially damaging to my own reputation. I could sue for wrongful termination, but that would be expensive and time-consuming. Or I could take matters into my own hands. I could find a way to make them pay, to make them understand the consequences of their actions. I spent hours poring over legal websites, researching my options. I talked to friends, seeking their advice. Everyone had a different opinion. Some urged me to seek legal recourse, to fight for justice through the proper channels. Others encouraged me to let it go, to move on with my life. But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't move on, not until I had made them understand the pain they had inflicted on me. One afternoon while cleaning, I found a box of old yearbooks. Leafing through them, I stumbled upon Carol's high school photo. She looked so different, so young and innocent. Had she always been capable of such cruelty? The idea sparked in my mind, a risky, unconventional plan, but it was a plan that could work. I started gathering information, delving into Carol's past. I learned about her family, her hobbies, her weaknesses. I discovered a hidden debt, a gambling problem that she had been desperately trying to conceal. And I found out about her secret dream, a dream she had abandoned years ago to focus on her career. She had always wanted to open a small bakery, a place where she could create beautiful pastries and share them with the world. I decided to use this information against her, not to hurt her, but to expose her, to reveal the truth behind her carefully constructed facade. I started leaking information about her gambling debt to her colleagues, subtly hinting at her financial struggles. I contacted the bank, anonymously alerting them to her suspicious activity. And then I started spreading rumors about her abandoned bakery dream, suggesting that she was unhappy in her current position, that she was looking for a way out. The rumors spread like wildfire. Soon, everyone in the office was talking about Carol. They questioned her dedication, her loyalty, her leadership. Her carefully crafted image began to crumble. One day, I received a call from Carol. Her voice was trembling, barely recognizable. "We need to talk," she said. I agreed to meet her at a small cafe near the office. When she arrived, she looked pale and exhausted, her eyes red and swollen. "What have you done?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I took a sip of my coffee, calmly observing her. "I simply revealed the truth," I said. "The truth about your ambition, your lies, your betrayal." She started to cry. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she sobbed. "I was just trying to protect my own position." "At my expense?" I asked. "I made a mistake," she said. "A terrible mistake. I'm sorry." Could I forgive her? Could I accept her apology? I looked into her eyes, searching for sincerity, and I saw it. Remorse, regret, and a glimmer of understanding. "I accept your apology," I said. "But that doesn't change what you did." "I know," she said. "I'll resign. I'll take responsibility for my actions." I watched as she walked away, her shoulders slumped, her future uncertain. I had achieved my goal. I had exposed her, revealed her true nature to the world. But as I sat there sipping my coffee, I felt no satisfaction, only emptiness. Had I done the right thing? Had I achieved justice, or simply perpetuated a cycle of revenge? A few weeks later, I received a letter from Carol. She had opened her bakery, just as she had always dreamed. She was happy, fulfilled, and grateful for the opportunity to start over. She also included a check, a full reimbursement for my lost wages. I was stunned. Had she truly changed? Had she learned from her mistakes? I decided to visit her bakery. When I walked in, the aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air. Carol greeted me with a warm smile. "Thank you," she said, "for everything. You helped me realize my dream." I smiled back. Maybe, just maybe, something good had come out of this after all. I had not taken the higher road, but perhaps Carol had found it. I started my job search, feeling more confident. I refined my resume and cover letter, emphasizing my skills and experience. After multiple interviews, The new job was better in several ways. I worked with a more collaborative team and had a manager who valued my input. But the experience of being fired had changed me. I'd learned the importance of standing up for myself and holding others accountable for their actions. One thing I learned from my past was how to be better. I started a consulting side gig to assist people going through employment termination. I used my social media to help coach people to advocate for their rights. There was the case of another worker terminated after being late to a very important meeting. And similar to my situation, the termination was not fair. I was able to advocate on their behalf and find evidence of past unfair treatment and mistreatment of this worker. This employee eventually was reinstated with back pay. Another woman had a similar situation to mine. After the birth of her child, she was terminated and told she was no longer cut out for this type of work. After reviewing her record, the employee had several stellar reviews and was a highly sought-after member of the team. I was able to assist this employee to file and win a case for discrimination. Over time, I became a successful advocate for workers' rights, empowering others to fight for justice in the workplace. My journey had been difficult, filled with betrayal, anger, and uncertainty, but it had also been transformative. I had emerged stronger, more resilient, and more determined to make a difference in the world. And in the end, that was all that mattered. It is important to work in a place that values you and recognizes that your worth is more than just your physical presence. The most important thing is to not let what people say about you define who you are, but stand up for the truth. What would you do? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. It felt amazing to support other workers as a coach. I had so many people reach out for assistance to deal with being mistreated or terminated. I felt honored to be able to help people see their worth. One evening, I received a message from Sarah, my sister, who had urged me to leave the meeting to pick up Lily. Her message was simple: "Can we talk tomorrow?" We set up a time to meet at the local park near where we grew up. The park was nearly empty as I sat on the bench waiting for my sister. I replayed the phone call in my head, thinking about whether to bring up my boss Carol's decision to fire me. Sarah arrived looking stressed. She looked frazzled, her face pale. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sitting down heavily. "What's going on?" I asked, concerned. "It's David," she said, her voice trembling. David was her husband, Lily's father. He's been acting weird lately. Distant, secretive. I found a bunch of cash in his briefcase. And he comes home later than ever. He claims that he has to work late, but I do not believe him. My heart sank. David had always been a rock, stable and dependable, the best dad in the world. "Have you talked to him about it?" I asked gently. "I tried," she said, "but he just gets defensive. He accuses me of being paranoid, of not trusting him." She paused, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I don't know what's going on, but I have a bad feeling about this." I hugged her tight, trying to reassure her. "We'll figure it out," I said. "We always do. I'm here for you." "Thanks," she said, pulling away. "There's something else." She hesitated, avoiding my gaze. "What is it?" I prompted. "Remember Mark?" she asked. My stomach clenched. Mark. My neighbor's boyfriend, Carol's co-conspirator. "Yeah," I said, my voice hardening. "What about him?" "David's been spending a lot of time with him lately," she said. "They go out together after work. They play poker on weekends." I don't like it. Mark gives me the creeps. A chill ran down my spine. What was David doing with Mark? Was he involved in whatever scheme Mark was cooking up? I had to find out. "I'll look into it," I said, my mind racing. "Don't worry, Sarah. I'll get to the bottom of this." I felt a growing sense of unease, a premonition that something terrible was about to happen. I decided to follow David and Mark. The bot. I parked down the street, watching the house. Around 7, David came out, looking nervous. He glanced around before getting into his car and driving away. I followed him. He drove to a seedy-looking bar on the outskirts of town. I parked across the street and watched as he went inside. A few minutes later, Mark arrived. They met at a table in the back, their heads close together. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their body language was tense, conspiratorial. After about an hour, they came out of the bar, looking grim. David was agitated, pacing back and forth. Mark put his hand on David's shoulder, saying something that seemed to calm him down. Then they parted ways. David drove home, and Mark went in another direction. I continued to follow David. He didn't go straight home. He made a detour to a different area of town, the part of town everyone avoided. I waited in the car. After what seemed like hours, he returned, looking shaken. He drove home and parked. I went home too, my mind reeling. What was David involved in? Was it something illegal, something dangerous? I knew I had to confront him, but I didn't know how. I found him at his apartment, nursing a cup of coffee. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice cold. He looked surprised, then wary. "About what?" he asked. "About David," I said. "About what you're up to." He chuckled nervously. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. "Yes, you do," I said. "I followed you and David last night. I saw you at the bar. I know you're up to something," he sighed, his facade crumbling. "Okay, fine," he said. "But you have to promise you won't tell anyone." I hesitated. "I can't promise that," I said. "It depends on what you tell me." He looked around nervously. "I can't talk here," he said. "Let's go somewhere else." We went to a nearby park, finding a secluded bench. "David's in trouble," Mark said, his voice low. "He's in debt, deep debt. He borrowed money from the wrong people." "Who?" I asked, my heart pounding. "I can't say," he said. "They're dangerous. They threatened his family." "So what are you doing?" I asked. "I'm trying to help him," he said. "I'm trying to get him out of this mess." "By meeting him at a seedy bar?" I asked, incredulous. "By sending him to that dangerous area of town?" I'm doing what I can, he said defensively. It's not my fault he got into this situation. But you're involved, I said. You're helping him cover it up. He looked down, shamefaced. I didn't want to get involved, he said. But he's my friend. I couldn't let him down. What kind of friend puts his friend's family in danger, I asked, my voice rising. I don't know what to do, he said, his voice cracking. I'm scared. I looked at him, his face etched with fear. I saw a flicker of humanity, a glimmer of remorse. Maybe he wasn't as evil as I thought. Maybe he was just a pawn, like me. What would you do in my place? Could you trust him? Tell me everything, I said. Everything you know about David's debt, about the people he owes money to, and maybe, just maybe, I can help. Mark hesitated, then nodded. He started to talk, and as he spoke, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. David had lost a lot of money gambling, chasing his losses until he owed a significant sum. He'd initially borrowed from legal sources, but when he couldn't pay, he turned to loan sharks. These were the dangerous people Mark referred to. They had threatened Sarah and Lily. Mark revealed that David was running errands to pay them back little by little. Mark, feeling guilty about his past actions with Carol, was helping David by providing contacts and covering for him. But he was in over his head, terrified of the consequences. I asked questions about David's debts, the people Mark mentioned, and David's recent activities. With each answer, the situation looked more dire. I thanked Mark and walked off. Sarah's family was in serious danger. The first thing I did when I got home was call Sarah. I know about David, I said, getting straight to the point. There was a long silence. What do you mean, you know? She asked hesitantly. I know about the gambling, the debt, the threats, I said. Mark told me everything. Sarah burst into tears. Oh my God, she sobbed. It's true, isn't it? It's all true. I'm so sorry, Sarah, I said. I didn't want to be the one to tell you this. What are we going to do? She asked, her voice trembling. I don't know, I said. But we're going to figure it out together. We're going to protect you and Lily. I'm scared, she said. They threatened us. I know, I said, but we're not going to let them win. We're going to fight back. I hung up the phone and started to think, how could I protect my sister and niece? I needed a plan that would get David out of debt, keep him and his family safe, and expose the loan sharks. It felt like a true crime show I was watching, but this was my family. The situation was spinning out of control. I wasn't sure what the images of Sarah and Lily haunted me. I had to do something. I needed someone who understood the law, someone who could advise me on my options. I found a lawyer named Susan who seemed sympathetic and experienced. I explained the situation to her, laying out all the details. This is a very dangerous situation, Susan said, her brow furrowed. Loan sharks are not people to be trifled with. I know, I said, but I have to do something. I can't just stand by and watch my sister's family get hurt. We need to gather evidence, Susan said. We need to document David's debt, the threats, everything. The more evidence we have, the stronger our case will be. How do we do that? I asked. We can start by contacting the police, Susan said. But that's risky. If the loan sharks find out that David's talking to the police, they could retaliate. I hesitated. I didn't want to put David or his family in more danger. Is there another way? I asked. We could try to negotiate with the loan sharks, Susan said. Offer them a settlement. Try to buy David's way out of the debt. Would that work? I asked. It's possible, Susan said. But it would require a lot of money. Do you have that kind of money? I didn't. But I was willing to do whatever it took to protect my family. I'll figure it out, I said. I'll find a way. I started exploring my options. I considered selling my apartment, but that wouldn't be enough. I thought about asking my parents for help, but they didn't have much money either. I was running out of ideas. Then I remembered Carol, my former boss, the woman who had fired me. She had given me a check for my lost wages, a gesture of remorse. Maybe, just maybe, she would be willing to help me again. It was a long shot, but I had nothing to lose. I walked into her bakery, the aroma of freshly baked bread filling my senses. Carol greeted me with a warm smile. "What can I do for you?" she asked. I took a deep breath and explained the situation to her, telling her about David's debt, the threats, everything. Carol listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each word. When I finished, she sighed. "That's terrible," she said. "I had no idea." "I need help," I said. "I need money to pay off David's debt. Would you be willing to loan it to me?" Carol hesitated. "I don't know," she said. "That's a lot of money." "I know," I said, "but I'm desperate. I'll pay you back, I promise. I'll work for you. I'll do anything." Carol looked at me, her eyes filled with compassion. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll loan you the money." I was stunned. "You will?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "I made a mistake in the past, and I want to make amends. This is my chance to do something good." I was overwhelmed with gratitude. "Thank you," I said, tears welling up in my eyes. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet," Carol said. "We need to be careful. Loan sharks are dangerous. We need to make sure David's family is safe." We worked together to devise a plan. We contacted Susan, the lawyer, and she helped us negotiate with the loan sharks. It was a tense, nerve-wracking process, but eventually we reached an agreement. We would pay them a sum of money in exchange for David's freedom. Susan was present. As the money changed hands, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. David was. But the relief was short-lived. As we were leaving, one of the loan sharks grabbed my arm. "You think you're done with us?" he sneered. "You think you can just walk away?" I froze, my heart pounding. "We have ways of making you pay," he said. "You and your family." I stared at him, defiance rising within me. "You won't get away with this," I said. "I'm not afraid of you." He laughed, a cold, menacing sound. "We'll see about that," he said. He let go of my arm and walked away. I turned to Susan, my face pale. "What do we do now?" I asked. "We go to the police," she said. "We report these threats. We get protection for David and his family." We went to the police station and filed a report. The police took the threats seriously and assigned a detective to the case. They provided protection for David and his family, and they launched an investigation into the loan sharks. The investigation took weeks, but eventually the police were able to gather enough evidence to arrest the loan sharks. They were charged with extortion, racketeering, and other crimes. They were brought to justice. David and his family were... What would you do? After all of that, I went to see David. I found him at his house, looking relieved. Sarah opened the door and offered me a warm hug. "Thank you," David said, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for everything you've done for us. You saved our lives." "You're welcome," I said. "I would do anything for my family." "I'm so sorry for everything," David said. "I made a terrible mistake. I put my family in danger. I don't know how I'll ever make it up to you." "Just be a good husband and father," I said. "That's all that matters." David nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. "I will," he said. "I promise." I knew it would take time for David to rebuild his life, to earn back Sarah's trust. But I also knew that he was capable of change. He had learned a valuable lesson, a lesson that would stay with him for the rest of his life. As for me, I had learned a lesson too. I had learned the importance of family, the power of forgiveness, and the strength of the human spirit. The entire situation caused me to lose a little faith in people, especially those closest to me. The worst part of it all was that Carol was never held accountable. Was that the right thing for me to do? Was I right in choosing forgiveness and keeping it quiet? After such a mess, I wasn't sure. What choice would you have made? What would you do in this situation? Could you forgive? Would you hold someone accountable even after they caused you to suffer in many different ways? This entire series of events changed me. I look at the world in a different light now. It has affected how I interact with family and friends. I hope I can trust the people I'm around to act in my best interests. I will always look out for my family. I'm glad this whole saga is behind me. I feel a strong sense of accomplishment for starting a business that helps employees stand up for their rights. It is so important to stand up for yourself, and I am a walking example of what happens when you don't, and then how you can stand up for yourself. It will make you a better person. Helping others stand up for themselves gave me a sense of purpose. The support I received online to take the events that happened to me and assist others felt incredible. I met so many great people from all walks of life. One day, I got an email from an old college friend, Emily. We hadn't spoken in years, not since a silly argument over a boy back in freshman year. It was stupid, and I had tried to reach out years ago, but she ignored me. The email was brief. She wrote that she had been following my advocacy work online and admired what I was doing. She was facing a similar situation at her job and wondered if I had time for a quick chat. The cafe was buzzing with activity, the smell of coffee and pastries filling the air. Emily looked nervous, clutching her coffee cup tightly. She was always high-strung and easily excitable, but it seemed to have worsened. We exchanged pleasantries, catching up on each other's lives. She had gotten married, had 2 kids, and was working as a marketing manager at a tech startup. I told her about my business and my adventures. Then she got down to business. I'm being pushed out of my job, she said, her voice trembling. My boss is making my life a living hell. What's happening? I asked, concerned. He's constantly criticizing my work, setting impossible deadlines, and undermining me in meetings, she said. He's also making inappropriate comments, suggestive remarks that make me feel incredibly uncomfortable. Have you reported it to HR? I asked. I tried, she said, but HR is useless. They're all friends with my boss. They just brushed it off, told me I was being too sensitive. My blood started to boil. This was exactly the kind of situation I had been fighting against. Do you have any evidence? I asked. Emails, memos, anything that documents his behavior? I have some emails, she said, but I'm afraid to use them. I'm afraid of retaliation. I understand, I said, but you need to protect yourself. You need to document everything. Keep a record of every inappropriate comment, every impossible deadline, every instance of undermining. The more evidence you have, the stronger your case will be. What should I do? She asked, her eyes pleading. I don't want to lose my job. I have a family to support. I can help you, I said. I can review your evidence, advise you on your options, and connect you with a lawyer if necessary. I'm not going to let him get away with this. We spent hours going over her emails, analyzing her boss's behavior. It was clear that he was creating a hostile work environment, intentionally trying to make her job unbearable. I helped her draft a letter to HR, documenting the harassment and demanding that they take action. I also connected her with a lawyer who specialized in employment law. The lawyer was able to help her negotiate a severance package, allowing her to leave her job with dignity and financial security. Emily was relieved. She thanked me profusely, her eyes shining with gratitude. I don't know what I would have done without you, she said. You saved my life. I smiled. It felt good to help someone, to make a difference in their life. It reminded me why I had started my business in the first place.